Hi, fourth graders. It is great to have you in Texas history today. And we are going to jump back into our studies with GTT, Gone to Texas. And we all know it started with the old 300 back in 1821 under the guidance of Stephen F. Austin. And there's a portrait of Stephen F. Austin. And we know he established the first colony in Texas, San Felipe de Austin, 1821, with 297 families. And you can see that little circle on the map that shows you the location. And it was settled along the Brazos River. Well, by 1830, there were more than 20,000 American colonists living in Texas. Thanks to Stephen F. Austin and other impresarios that followed after him, the dreams of a better life and lots of open land to settle. Texas at this time was controlled by Mexico, and for a while, things were good. But as more and more colonists settled the land, they did not want to change their culture or ideas to fit with what the Mexican government wanted them to do. First, colonists spoke English, but the Mexican government wanted them to speak Spanish, the native language of Mexico. Next, anyone who was given a grant to settle land had to convert to the Catholic religion. Many colonists practiced a different religion, and they didn't want to change. Also, slavery was a problem. In Mexico, slavery was against the law, but some settlers believed they needed their slaves to help settle and farm their land. During this time, corn and cotton were crops that were doing well in this area. In 1830, Mexico passed the law of April 6th, limiting the number of settlers allowed into Texas. It prohibited or no longer allowed slaves to be owned in Texas, and it started taxing goods that came from the United States. Texas settlers had had enough. They gathered for meetings in 1832 and 1833. They decided to send Stephen F. Austin, the father of Texas, to Mexico to discuss their concerns with Mexico's leader, Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. Mr. Austin was also going to request that Texas become its own state so that Texans could make some of their own decisions. Stephen F. Austin arrived in Mexico City in July of 1833 and had to wait months before Santa Anna would meet with him. When they finally met, the meeting seemed to go well. But Mr. Austin was arrested shortly thereafter and put in jail for over a year. His arrest was due to a letter that he had written that sounded like he wanted to overthrow the government. When Stephen F. Austin was finally released from jail, Texas settlers realized that they would have to take things into their own hands. They were supposed to be able to share ideas on how the government should be run, but instead, Santa Anna had become a dictator. He took all the power for himself. Stephen F. Austin and his settlers were ready to fight for freedom. The Texas Revolution, a battle for freedom from Mexican rule, was about to begin.